First up, in the past 5 years, more than 47,000 Mexicans have died in drug-related violence. But a different kind of murderous crime spree continues to plague the country. In the early 1990s, the grisly discovery of female bodies littering the Mexican border town of Ciudad Juarez sparked international outrage. Almost 20 years later, the problem in Juarez not only remains, but in fact spread to other parts of Mexico as well. Meanwhile, grieving families of the dead women are stunned that little or nothing is being done to bring their killers to justice. America's Now contributing correspondent Ross Velton reports from Mexico on the startling phenomenon called femicide.
Laura Venzor grows melons in the sand. Last year she grew a big one. She cut it into pieces and took some round to her daughter, who loves the fruit. And that's when she knew.
Eran las 7:30 de la tarde noche. Llegué allá y le hablé a Andrea. Entonces salió el muchacho y me dice, no está.
A year and a half later, a bag of bones was delivered to Dora's house. They were Andrea, she was told, and then she was told no more.
Quería echarle ganas a la escuela, ella quería ser una gran enfermera.
But instead she became another unsolved murder of a woman in Ciudad Juarez. Now there was a time when the houses behind me weren't here. All there was sand, wind and a bit of scrub. And it was here about 20 years ago that the first female bodies were found. Now there are pink crosses all over Juarez. Some of them mark the spots where dead women were dumped. These graves with no epitaphs are asking the question, why? One answer comes from the historian Sergio Aguayo. He says women were vulnerable as soon as they started working in the factories of Juarez.
Underemployment of women transformed the gender role. Men all of a sudden were unemployed. They were not the providers. And at the same time, Ciudad Juarez is one of the most important routes for migrants and drugs. Therefore, you can see how the social fabric deteriorated and machismo appeared. So the weak link in the whole story were women, young women.
Dora thinks Andrea's boyfriend had something to do with her death. And Maria Garcia last saw her daughter when she went off to look for a job in a shoe shop. Maria thinks Jessica was kidnapped and then sold for sex by a Juarez gang before being killed. And Maria del Carmen Ortiz doesn't know if her niece is dead or alive. Nancy also went out job hunting, but never came back. Now she's one of the many Juarez women who have just disappeared. The suffering of these women is raw. They lost their girls in the last couple of years or so. Irma Casas works to stop violence against women in Juarez and says the problem is only getting worse.
Del año 2002 al año 2007 estaban, lo más alto de asesinatos eran 38 por año. En el 2008 fueron 83 mujeres asesinadas, en el 2009 163 y en el 2010 283. ¿Por qué suben? Pues por el grado de impunidad que hay en la ciudad. O sea, es una invitación a los asesinos, a sus agresores, de decirles, no te pasa nada, haz lo que quieras con ella.